Welcome to episode 3 of Stick to Sports. I'm Zach Mash.
And I'm Zach Malamud. Today, the Dolphins make significant trades impacting the upcoming draft. A shocking result as number 2 Alabama goes down, and we look at the biggest trades that came from deadline day in the NBA.
Roll it. The big news that everyone woke up to on Friday was the blockbuster move by the 49ers. San Francisco sent 3 first-rounders, including number 12 this year, to Miami in exchange for the 3rd overall pick. What did you think of this trade?
I think it was a great trade for both sides. The 49ers gave up a hefty return with a couple firsts and a third besides the 12th pick. And you would think he's drafting a quarterback by trading up 9 spots. That is John Lynch. But people might say they traded up pretty simple. They want Justin Fields out of Ohio State. I'm going to take Lee Corso's line, not so fast. Justin Fields hasn't had his pro day yet. I'm looking at Trey Lance, who I think is the 3rd best quarterback in the draft behind Trevor Lawrence and Zack Wilson. I don't think John Lynch would have traded up if he wasn't sure about getting his guy. And that could either mean Trey Lance or figuring out a trade with the Jets up to number 2 to get Zack Wilson.
You know, I've heard differences on who his guy might be. You mentioned Justin Fields. You mentioned Trey Lance. There was one other person that you didn't mention, and his name is Mac Jones. And there's been a lot of speculation, a lot of things connecting the 49ers to Mac Jones. And I think that's going to make or break this trade for me. If he traded up for Justin Fields or Trey Lance, I get it. If he traded up for Mac Jones, yikes.
Yeah, really. But the second trade on Friday was also by the Miami Dolphins, who did trade with the 49ers. This time they traded back up to the number 6 pick, giving the Philadelphia Eagles the 12th pick, a 4th rounder this year, and a 2022 first rounder. What did this trade mean for both sides, Zach?
Well, I think this is Miami really playing chess and not checkers here. I mean, they were able to get San Francisco's picks with that trade down from 3 to 12, and then they were able to give up less than what they got back to move all the way back up to 6, and they were in position to take potentially that playmaker that they would have taken at 3 anyways, whether that's Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Kyle Pitts, whoever that may be. 6 is likely a position that they can do just that. And for the Eagles, I understand wanting to get extra picks. That's never really a bad move in the NFL. But we'll see if any of those weapons are available for them. They could certainly use one of those guys, and we'll see if they're there. But it was an interesting one.
Yeah, this trade and the San Francisco trade, I think, gave Tua Tagovailoa the reassurance he needed. By making these trades, the Dolphins told Tua he is their guy for the future. The Dolphins also look like they set themselves up for the first choice at the top weapons in the draft. Let's say it goes Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Fields, and the Bengals are at 5, and they would probably take Penei Sewell to tackle. Miami would have the choice of Jamar Chase, Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle with the 6th pick in the draft.
That's pretty much best case scenario for them. But we'll move over to the basketball court. And another upset in the NCAA tournament took place here in the Sweet 16 as the 2-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide fell to the 11th-seeded UCLA Bruins. Bruins have now made their way to the Elite Eight after starting the tournament in a playing game. That's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody expected UCLA to even come close to the Elite Eight. What an upset by the Bruins, and what a run they're making in this tournament. Bama thought they were back in it when Alex Reese, a 6'9" forward, hit a deep 3 at the buzzer to force overtime. But it was the Jaime Jaquez show for UCLA in overtime. Without their best player, Johnny Juzang, in overtime, the Bruins still gutted out the win. But the difference in this game was free throw shooting. Alabama went 11 for 25, and UCLA went 20 for 25. 80% against 44% from the line is a clear difference in a game in March.
Yeah, free throws will basically make or break it down the stretch. But it makes me kind of wonder, is there a correlation between the first four and deeper tournament runs? Because everyone wants to avoid that. And I understand that. No one wants to have to play in to get into the tournament. No one wants to have to do that. But for a team that's just starting out on their tournament run to already face a test in a win or die game and already have that experience going into the tournament, I think there might be something to be said for that, especially for a big time program like UCLA. I think it might have helped them. And I think it's really interesting to see a team that was in the last four in make it this far.
Yeah, really. An 11 seed making it to the Elite Eight. Remarkable run by UCLA. But one of many trades on deadline day in the NBA was all-star Nikola Vucevic getting shipped away to the Chicago Bulls. Vucevic and Al-Farouq Aminu were sent to Chicago with Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and 2 first-round picks going back to Orlando. This trade had to be coming, but it was just a matter of time of when.
Yeah, it was a bloodbath with the Orlando Magic on deadline day. And Nikola Vucevic, though, of all the players that were traded that day, he might have been the one that I least expected. And I did not see him going to the Bulls, who are kind of in that gray area, a team that, with the expanded playoffs, certainly have a shot to make their way in there. But you're certainly not going to call them a contending team at this point. But let's get it out of the way first. Nikola Vucevic has been a very underrated player throughout his career. And this year, his numbers are off the charts. He was an all-star. And he will certainly, along with Zack Wilson, form a really nice little core in Chicago and a chance for them, which is, I think, what they're looking for. And, as far as the return, I like Wendell Carter Jr. and obviously the draft pick. So I think this was a pretty win-win trade for both sides. And I actually like to see this one.
Yeah, I called this, if you remember, a couple weeks ago. Vucevic getting traded and getting out of Orlando. It was time for him to get out of Orlando. But a player averaging 24 and 11 cannot spend his career on a team way below 500 like the Magic are. But the Bulls are not much better. But pairing Zack Wilson with Nikola Vucevic is a really scary sight for the Eastern Conference in the future. I really like this trade by the Bulls. And the Magic definitely got a good return.
I agree. It should be fun to watch those two play together. Well, we're going to take a break here on Stick to Sports. Up next, we look at more trades from the wild NBA trade deadline and quarterback situations after Friday's moves in the NFL. Stay tuned on WTOP 10.
Got your personal references, high school diploma or equivalent?
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
It's right there.
Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
We taught him how to hit a baseball. How to hit a receiver. The strike zone. The net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. On a very busy trade deadline day, the Los Angeles Clippers added experience to their backcourt, acquiring point guard Rajon Rondo for guard Lou Williams and 2 future second-round picks. Rondo was a key piece of the 2020 champion Los Angeles Lakers team. What will Rondo provide for the Clippers?
The absolute perfect trade for the Clippers. They were looking at Rondo in the summer, and to get him now for a 34-year-old Lou Williams, he's been a little off since Ty Lue took over and Doc Rivers went out, but completely worth it here for Rajon Rondo. The biggest thing this does, it allows Kawhi and Paul George to be on the wing and not have to run the point. The Clippers haven't had a point guard they completely trust, and it's forced Kawhi and PG into something that they're not. Point forwards or point for Paul George, he also qualifies as a point forward. And then when that happens, they struggle in the playoffs. They now have playoff Rondo on their side, though, a crucial pickup for the Clippers and one that may win them a championship.
My opinion on this trade has kind of changed since I first saw it because, to be honest with you, I really like Lou Williams. Lou Williams is a player I enjoy watching. I think in the playoffs, having someone that can create their own shot, especially off the bench, is extremely important. And Lou Williams is that guy. However, when you think about the makeup of the Clippers, like you were saying, they had Patrick Beverley, and he's a great defender, obviously an irritant to the other team, but not a true point guard, which you think is a real distributor. And Rondo will give them that and some veteran experience. We saw the Clippers melt a little bit in last year's playoffs. And, the reason why is anyone's guess, but it could certainly help them to have a steady hand running the show, someone that's been there, done that, and someone that will be able to feed Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and has experience winning a title as recently as last season. Well, that wasn't the only move, as a blockbuster was struck just before the deadline, as star guard Victor Oladipo was sent to the Heat for Kelly Olynyk, Avery Bradley, and a pick swap. Does Oladipo send the Heat to another level?
Yeah, the Heat might make this a four-headed race in the East. The Heat don't have the standout superstar. That's what they're missing. Some will say Butler and Bam, but I don't look at them in that way. The Heat are 8 or 9 guys deep, and every single one of them has a big impact on the floor. Besides Butler and Bam, there's Hero, Nunn, Dragic, Robinson, Iguodala, Achua, and now Victor Oladipo, a team that made the NBA Finals last year, and they've only gotten better since then.
I'll be honest with you, this trade really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I mean, basically what the Heat are doing here, they're adding a good player. That's what they did. They added a good player, Victor Oladipo, obviously a former All-Star, a two-guard capable of getting to the rim, shooting, defending, all that stuff. But they already have that in Jimmy Butler. In my opinion, they're very similar players, very similar positions. And to me, a trade for a guy like Kyle Lowry made a lot more sense for the Heat than Oladipo did. He will help them. They're a roster full of solid players, but we'll just have to see if the fit is exactly what they're looking for. But yet another blockbuster occurred involving the Orlando Magic before the deadline as well. They sent forward Aaron Gordon to the Denver Nuggets for guards Gary Harris and RJ Hampton, as well as a protected first-round pick. What will Gordon do for Denver?
The other trade made by Orlando, and as they try to rebuild, it's a great ad by Orlando getting RJ Hampton in this trade, a young guard with a lot of potential. But the Nuggets, who you talked about, they get what will be their actual third guy next to Jokic and Murray. Yes, they have Michael Porter Jr., but the mistakes and the lack of defense makes him more of a fourth man on a team. Everybody is trying to challenge the Lakers. And with Utah flying, the Clippers with Rondo, and now the Nuggets getting Gordon, the West got a lot more interesting come playoff time.
I like this a lot for Denver because, like I was just saying with Oladipo and Butler, a lot of the Denver Nuggets roster to me is full of similar type of skill sets. And I mean shooters and guys that play with kind of a finesse mentality like Jokic and those guys. And now you're adding a guy like Aaron Gordon, guy that can get to the rim, throw it down with power, a guy that's going to fight underneath for boards, and a guy that's just going to bring a different dimension to that team. I like it for them. I like a couple of young guards in the first-round pick for the Magic. So once again, I think Orlando did pretty good in this trade.
Over to the NFL, and after the trades in the NFL, we're going to look at what it means for 3 different starting quarterbacks. First is Sam Darnold and the New York Jets. The Jets are at number 2 in the NFL draft, and recent reports have stated the Jets feel really comfortable staying where they are now. It seems that Zack Wilson is going to be a Jet after his pro day performance. So what does this mean for Sam Darnold?
Well, he gone, and that's right. he's going to be out of there. And I feel bad for him in a way because I don't think Sam Darnold got a chance to prove that whether he was the guy or wasn't the guy in New York. So I certainly feel bad for him. I know he has talent. And on Zack Wilson, I have to say, I like Zack Wilson as a player, but there are some people that are seriously overreacting to a pro day performance where there's no defense and guys are working out in shorts. They do this every year. Trevor Lawrence is a no doubt number one guy, and I've actually seen people trying to put Zack Wilson over him, which is just crazy to me. So as far as Sam Darnold, hopefully he finds a landing spot for him where he'll get a chance to prove himself, and we'll see what the Jets are with Zack Wilson.
Yeah, as a Jets fan, at the end of the season, I said they have to keep Sam Darnold. Right now, I'm of that same mindset. I think drafting a quarterback puts the Jets back to where they were 3 or 4 years ago when Sam Darnold was drafted. And it looks like Zack Wilson is going to be the quarterback for the New York Jets next year. But I think they need a very good veteran behind Zack Wilson because I don't think he's good enough yet to start in his rookie season. But over to the Niners and quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. The Niners traded up 9 spots to the number 3 pick in the draft, where they seem destined to find a new quarterback. The team did say they are not trading Jimmy Garoppolo, and he is their guy. But what do you make of this situation in San Francisco?
Well, besides the millions of dollars, this is an exact situation that you do not want to be in if you're Jimmy Garoppolo. You are basically a dead man walking at this point. And it's a shame because I've seen it happen with my Giants, with Eli Manning and Daniel Jones. Once they get a new guy in there, the second that Garoppolo struggles, they're going to be calling for whoever that may be. And you're probably going to see him more early than you think this season. And listen, I understand Garoppolo has been okay, not great. They have a lot of money committed to him, and this is an opportunity for them to get their franchise guy and someone that can elevate them. But I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic and a little bit of an awkward dynamic next year.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to what I said before. I think this is Garoppolo's last season with the 49ers. The Niners said they want to keep him, and I think that is so he can mentor the player that they select with the number 3 pick. I think that player is going to be Trey Lance, but it could definitely be Justin Fields or, like you said, Mac Jones. Lots of people were saying the team that made it all the way to the Super Bowl had one glaring weakness: quarterback. This could be the chance to solve that problem. Finally, we move over to Philly, where the Eagles are very unsure who their starting quarterback is right now. The Eagles traded down 6 spots to the number 12 pick in this year's draft, but reportedly had asked to move up in order to draft Zack Wilson. With these reports coming out, what does this mean for Jalen Hurts?
Well, I can ask for a lot of things, and it doesn't mean I'm going to get it. And I think that this is going to be the same thing with the Eagles, as they obviously made their move to trade back. And to me, that's a commitment to Jalen Hurts. I don't think that they're going to be taking a quarterback at number 12. Jalen Hurts showed flashes last year. He was a second-round pick, so this is certainly not a no-doubt franchise quarterback situation. But I think they're going to give it a shot. Philly has certainly a weaker roster than they have in the most recent seasons. And they're going to give it a shot with Hurts, and we'll see if he sinks or swims. But I think it just only means good things for him.
Yeah, this situation is the most confusing to me. A team that went 4-11-1 last year. They traded Carson Wentz to the Colts. They drafted Jalen Hurts last year, and he didn't perform badly. They took Hurts out in the final game versus Washington and put in Nate Sudfeld in a really close game so they could look at their quarterbacks.
It's a tank. We all know that.
Yeah.
Anyways, bitter Giants fan talking, but we know.
Yeah, but at number 6, you would think they would draft a big player, maybe a receiver, a tight end, or even a addition to their defense, a bottom 10 rush defense. Instead, they moved down 6 spots for a late first rounder, and the Dolphins probably will make the playoffs next year. I understand getting more picks, but this team came in last place in the worst division in football. But we do have to take a quick break. But when we come back, Zach, you will be joined by Ben Diamond. Don't go anywhere. You are watching Stick to Sports.
It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. Joining me now is Ben Diamond, one of our producers. Ben, what do you have for us tonight?
After having his contract bought out by the San Antonio Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge quickly signed a one-year deal with the Brooklyn Nets. This move adds even more depth to the already very talented roster. Although this signing comes with a lot of backlash, as fans and people around the league feel this stacking up on one team is bad for the NBA as well as the future of the game.
And I say, oh, come on. First of all, this has already happened before. If you look at the Miami Heat, LeBron James' team, he stacked it up with Bosh and Wade. They added Rashard Lewis and Ray Allen. Very similar situations. Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge are not what they were 4 or 5 years ago. They're just role players at this point. So I personally think it's ridiculous. But and there's certainly a precedent for it. But I guess fans don't really understand that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, this has definitely happened multiple times within the last 10, 15 years. But now that it's happening again, and what seems to be on a much larger scale, because now you've got guys like Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving playing on the exact same team, and then adding guys like Blake Griffin, who's a former All-Star, and LaMarcus Aldridge, who's also a former All-Star and All-NBA player, and now it just feels like an All-Star team at one point, and you almost question, is this fair? And also with the Lakers, if neither of them win, what happens? Because they stacked up their team just to lose. So what does it mean that they created this whole team and couldn't finish?
It means that their superstars are going to face a lot of criticism.
Now, staying in the NBA, moving over to the Lakers, to answer the Nets signing of LaMarcus Aldridge, the Lakers went out and signed Andre Drummond right as he was eligible after being bought out by the Cleveland Cavaliers. This signing brings in another solid center to play with Montrezl Harrell and Marc Gasol, but also another helpful piece in the absence of Anthony Davis and LeBron James.
Yeah, I'm sick of hearing all the Andre Drummond slander on social media and really just amongst NBA fans. For some reason, Andre Drummond is not in the good graces of the common NBA fan right now for whatever reason, but this is certainly a very good player, a guy that can pretty much average 20 and 10 when he is a main guy on a team. He's certainly not going to do that for this Lakers team, at least once everybody's healthy, but he's what they need. He's that rim protector, that rebounder that they were missing after Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee were gone this offseason. Marc Gasol certainly isn't that guy anymore. So it's a great pickup to me, and it hates me to say that as a guy who's not a Lakers fan.
Yeah, I was hoping he would go to the Knicks, but I guess the Lakers needed him more. Now, moving over to college basketball, former Knicks head coach Mike Woodson was hired earlier today by the Indiana Hoosiers. Woodson, who was a part of the Knicks as an assistant coach this year, takes on a role in college basketball. Woodson had played for Indiana back from 1976 to 1980. This had been Woodson's dream job, and he thanked Knicks owner James Dolan for allowing him out of his Knicks contract.
Woody's always going to have a special place in my heart for that 2012-13 Knicks season when they won 54 games and Carmelo Anthony won the scoring title. So I wish him good luck in Indiana, and I think that he's a good coach who deserves the opportunity to be a head man somewhere else.
Yeah, he definitely deserved the opportunity. He was a very good coach, whether it been as you said, as the head coach back when the last time the Knicks were good, and now being an assistant coach in a new era where the Knicks are now starting to almost break out of their shell and turn into a whole new team. And now he gets his chance to go even younger and grow a new group of guys with Indiana.
No doubt. And we'll take a quick break here on Stick to Sports. Thanks once again to Ben for his segment. When we come back, Zach and I will go through our best bets and what to watch for. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Stick to Sports on WTOP 10.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
To Maddie, congrats on paying off all those student loans.
Finally, right?
How'd you manage that anyway?
I started tracking my spending, changed a couple of habits.
Wow, I'm kind of living paycheck to paycheck right now. I don't even know how I'm doing it.
Well, have you tried saving a little?
I want to, but where's that money gonna come from? Bill collectors, they're the worst. Am I right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind.
Not home.
Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to Stick to Sports. For my what to watch this week, I'm looking at the entire NL West division for this opening week of baseball. Specifically looking at the pitchers on the mound. The Dodgers bringing in Trevor Bauer to add to Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler. The Padres bringing in Yu Darvish and Blake Snell. Can the Diamondbacks still rely on an aging Madison Bumgarner? Can Gausman be an ace for the Giants? And finally, will the Rockies pitching be able to carry them? Lots of questions in this division with the MLB season just around the corner.
San Diego Padres are going to be one of the most exciting teams in baseball. But going off of what you said, my what to watch for this week is going to be another division in the National League, and that's the NL East. With the new look Mets set to debut their star shortstop Francisco Lindor this week, this division has the chance to be extremely competitive this season. With the young star-powered Atlanta Braves led by Ronald Acuna Jr., the young upstart Marlins, who are coming off a very surprising playoff berth in 2020, as well as the Washington Nationals led by perhaps MVP favorite Juan Soto. All these teams have young, talented rosters, and that doesn't even include Bryce Harper's Phillies, who also have the talent to make a run at this division as well. As a rare division with no real weak link, it should be extremely entertaining to see how it plays out this season.
Yeah, no doubt. And shifting to our best bets after my big Baylor hit last week against Villanova, I'm looking in baseball at some future bets. I understand all the pieces the New York Mets added this offseason and why they are the favorite to win the NL East this year. But I'm going to take the Atlanta Braves here, the team that has won the NL East for the last 3 years. Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna Jr., Dansby Swanson, and Marcell Ozuna. And then on the mound with Max Fried and Ian Anderson, waiting for Mike Soroka to return from that torn Achilles. This team is set up really well in every position. And at plus 1,200, I love the Braves to take the division for a fourth consecutive year.
I also have baseball on the mind here. In the shortened 60-game regular season, Mets with many players in the 2020 season, and Brewers outfielder Christian Yelich was no different. After establishing himself as a solid player with the Miami Marlins, Yelich was dealt to the Milwaukee Brewers during the 2018 offseason. After becoming a Brewer, Yelich took his play to another level, winning MVP in 2018 and finishing as the runner-up to the Dodgers' Cody Bellinger in 2019. With his stats significantly down during the 2020 season, look for Yelich to pick right where he left off and be right in that MVP mix again. I will take him at plus 1,200 odds as well.
But that's all the time we have on this episode of Stick to Sports. Be sure to tune in next week right here on WTOP 10.